A lot of people think that if it doesn't come from Kentucky, it's not bourbon. No, that's not true. But
no, it's not true.
We're the OG.
We are. It's definitive because we just talked about all the made up facts.
Yeah, I mean, they sounded good to me.
Yeah. Welcome back to Arsenic Culture. I'm Matt.
And I'm Jason.
And it is that time of year, actually.
It is.
It's that time. And of course, we are talking about college basketball season, and we got a good team finally.
Go Cats. We beat Duke. We beat Duke.
Yes, I know. No, we're actually talking about Black Friday, and we're talking about Bourbon County Stout. Goose Island Bourbon County Stout, to be specific.
I thought you was going to line up at Target for those doorbuster sales.
Do they still do those?
You know, I was actually talking to my mom about this the other day. I don't think they do many of those.
I don't think anybody does many of them.
Online now, right?
Yeah.
Some places do.
Yeah.
I think Best Buy still does some, and Walmart
Really?
still does some for sure.
I just saw, we're immediately getting off on a tangent here. I saw Best Buy has got a 100-inch TV on sale for $1,600.
Damn.
I mean, how much do you think like a normal like TV costs nowadays? Like a 45, 55 inch TV?
I've not bought one in forever, but I would say the last one I bought, I think we got a 45 inch for upstairs, our first floor, and I think that one was like $450, $400.
Yeah, and it depends on like what kind of technology you get and stuff like that. But just the fact, like I remember when I was younger, I bought this tube. You remember the tube TVs that are like weigh like 200 pounds?
Oh yeah.
I bought a 32-inch tube television. It was a flat screen, but it was a
rear
tube.
projection.
No.
Okay,
it was like the heavy
legit.
ass, straight glass front. I mean, it was like it weighed every bit of 175, 200 pounds, and it was 32 inches. And I spent like I think I paid like $2,000.
Oh yeah, the first one we bought, like when we were married and stuff, it was a rear projection. So, I believe it was Sony. And it was probably 60 inches.
Yeah.
I bet it's close to $3,000.
Yeah. And now they got one for 100 inches for $1,600. I almost pulled the trigger on it, and Kendra's like, where the fuck are we going to put that?
Exactly.
And I was like, I mean, it's so big. Seriously, it's like, you haven't been in our bedroom, but we have an 82-inch in there.
Okay.
Because I wanted to get like this movie theater kind of like thing on there. And she's like, you already got 82 inches in there. Like, how many more inches do you need? It's like, I'm compensating.
18. You need 18.
Yeah, I'm compensating for something, babe. So, but also on Black Friday, Goose Island does their coveted Bourbon County Stout releases.
Yeah.
Which I know this is your jam.
Man,
I like it too, but
it used to be. You don't like it. It used to be really
I
my
enjoy
jam.
the beer. I hate standing in line.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
It used to be fun though. You know, you wake up Black Friday, and hell, I'd get out there sometimes 4 or 5 in the morning. You know, get excited here because. You know, this is back when KBS, you know, what is that, Kentucky Brand
KBBS or
No.
Yeah, Founders.
From Founders, KBS.
Kentucky
what the hell
Brand,
is that? Brunch, isn't it?
Kentucky, I think it's Kentucky Brand Stout.
I don't know, but KBS.
KBBS from Top and Glide is Kentucky Brand Brunch Stout.
Yes.
No, Kentucky Breakfast Stout.
That's just a breakfast stout, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But anyway, I remember when that was out, we wouldn't get many of those here, right? So it was a big deal. We would find out what day that released, which is not Black Friday, and get in line early for that one.
Yeah.
Black Friday, I remember seeing the same people in line for probably 5-6 years here in Lexington, and I would always be there one of the first 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Having some breakfast pours of past year's beers or whatever, you know.
Stumbling out at like 11, 10.
Yep. And then, you know, you'd have to run around town to get a couple here, a couple there.
Yeah.
Barely have enough, and then now I think
you get online and be like, guys, I got like 6. I got like a 4-pack and a half.
Yeah,
you know?
Right? Yeah. But it was it's changed a lot. You know, now or the last few years, I've not even been really interested in going out. Not because I'm not excited for it to try, just because it's more readily available.
It is, and there's positives and there's negatives to that. Beer in general has kind of become a little bit easier to get, not quite as sought after, which is fine because they're the good stuff. You don't have to stand in line. You don't have to try to get a proxy. You don't have to pay exorbitant amounts on the secondary to get it.
It makes me wonder though, like how some of the breweries have done or doing now, because I feel like at least a portion of their sales where beer nerds or somebody wanting to trade for it.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds weird, but you're talking about mules that would go to these places and pick up cans or bottles or whatever. They would have their trucks filled completely with it. I mean, you're talking, you know, if it's bottles, probably 300 bottles on some of this stuff, like total. Or if it's cases, you're probably talking 30 cases. I don't know, maybe more. So I don't know. I wonder if it's affected their sales any.
Yeah, and I noticed there's still Bourbon County, certain ones. Some of them are still hard to get, and they're rare. But there are some like the regular. Yeah, exactly.
Like that.
But like some of the regular ones and the more like mainstream ones, like they're still available.
So in Chicago area and other places too, I know Michigan does it. They've had a lot of discounts on them. So if you look back at like last year's and year before, going back to 2022, you can buy the regular, I'd say for $8 in a lot of places. And then we actually got in Lexington here.
I mean, that's great.
Great deal because that's half price what it was.
Yeah.
But we actually got a drop probably a month or two ago of like older beer from Goose Island. And it was really good older beer. So it was like 150th edition, the one they did in Old Forester barrels.
I remember, yeah.
Like a tube. Then they did the barley wine in the Old Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of those sitting on the shelves right now at Liquor Barns.
Yeah.
They must have bought pallets in.
Yeah, that wasn't the year it was infected.
No. We'll talk about that though. Okay. That was a couple years ago. So Goose Island always holds a lot back up there.
Right.
Actually, a ton is what I've heard. But I think what happened too is distributors actually got smart. They didn't send us this initially in Lexington area, but I think since it wasn't selling anywhere else, they decided 2 years later, hey, let's bring some to Lexington and see if it sells, which it did.
Yeah, and this is what we think of you, Lexington.
Yeah, right. Like you're like
basically
fifth class people or something.
Yeah, that's funny. I don't honestly, our market sucks anyway, so I don't really blame them.
It does for some things.
Yeah. So, but we have here. Jason's been sitting on this one or got one recently. I don't know.
2015.
Yep. This is the rare. And this box is amazing. It's like branded on the side.
Yep.
Aged 2 years in 35-year-old Heaven Hill barrels. Still got the seal there.
Yep.
You can see.
On our new cameras.
Oh, yeah. We got some new hardware here we're working with. You all can't see them because they are recording us.
You'll see it when they release on YouTube, though.
Yeah. No, this is pretty dope. So we are going to partake in the 2015 Bourbon County Rare here, as we discussed about the releases that are coming out this year.
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
I'll let you be opening that one. So
yeah.
The one that Matt's going to be open, this is the second time that Goose Island or whatever, Bourbon County has made Rare. The first time they made it was back in 2010. This is 2015. This is 14.8% ABV. It was aged for 2 years in a Heaven Hill barrel that held 35-year-old bourbon. Now, I'm quoting that in the air because you look online, there's been some Reddit threads, you get down the wormhole.
Right.
Maybe it wasn't bourbon. Maybe it was some other spirit.
Sure.
It's always the old forgotten barrel. Like, it's hard for me to believe in a distillery you just forget a 35-year-old barrel of bourbon.
Maybe. I mean, the size of that.
It's true.
That place.
True.
I mean, it's entirely possible.
Maybe you've been drinking a little bit and forget that.
This bottle is like, I was gonna say it's wedged. It's not even wedged in here. It's like glued down.
You might have to pull like one side versus the other. I don't know how.
It is glued down.
If that breaks, we'll just drink the glass.
Yeah, it just got a little.
Oh, it really had glue.
Yeah, it's literally glued in there. So.
Do you remember the first Rare that they did?
Yeah, I do. And I remember back when it came out, that came out 2010. Yeah. And that was like right before I was getting into beer. So I never actually saw it on the shelves, but I heard about it. And I remember people talking about how it was insane that anybody would price a beer so expensive. Yep. What was it, like $40?
I'm trying to remember. I don't remember the MSRPs, but a little bit before I got into beer hardcore too. I think probably 2012 I started getting into beer pretty much, and in 2013 I was all in.
All in, yeah.
But for that first one they did in 2010, that was a Pappy 23 barrel. So that's what they had there.
Nice. I wonder how much a Pappy 23 barrel at Bourbon County would.
I bet you can't even touch one of those.
Do you know?
Pappy 23.
Are we going to get into the barrel that they used for Rare this year?
Yeah, for sure. So 3 times they've done the Rare. The OG's in 2010, we just talked about, and this was 2015, and now they're doing it again in 2024. This one is aged 1 year in King of Kentucky barrels, which is probably the second hottest barrel, like most hype, behind a Pappy. You know what I mean? Because King of Kentucky, 16-year-old.
Yeah.
It could be an 18 one, but I bet it's a 16-year-old King of Kentucky. Single barrels, they blend them together, of course, but that's a big get. That's Brown Forman, coming from them. So not only was it
almost like they got that Anheuser-Busch money.
That's right. It was aged 1 year in King of Kentucky barrels. Then it was transferred to another set of King of Kentucky barrels for another year. So two sets of fresh barrels, King of Kentucky.
This is all the Kings.
This was the 10th anniversary of their barrel warehouse. That's the reason they did it, they said.
Right.
So let's try it.
You're talking about this one, not the new one, correct?
No, the new one. I'm talking about the new one.
The new one. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. So this one here is the 2015.
So a little history just about Bourbon County, like the brand, you know?
Yeah.
So they first brewed in 1992 for their 1,000th batch of beer. It was brewed at Goose Island. That's when they came up with the Bourbon County Brand Stout.
Right.
Do you know when... Well, let's talk one more. So in 95, they entered Bourbon County Brand Stout in the GABF. It got disqualified.
Really? I did not know that.
They did not have it didn't fit in the style.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Barrel-aged stout. Like, how the hell is that not a category?
From what I saw, the first Bourbon County Brand Stout was made in 92, around 92.
That was when they first brewed it. That's right.
Yeah.
Draft only, but yes.
But from what I saw at the time, nobody was making bourbon barrel-aged beer.
Yeah.
That kind of sounds hard to believe, doesn't it?
I mean, in 92, maybe. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like the oldest thing I can think of.
Like, I don't mean stouts. I mean like any beer. Like, there's so many things being aged in barrels. Why? How come nobody ever thought of aging a beer in a barrel? Just
I would think I would think like some European brewery would have. I mean, what about those?
Right.
Are any of the Harvest Tales? Are they any of those barrel aged? Or JW Lee's?
I know what you mean. Yeah. This.
I know it's more like an old ale, right? Like it's not a
I
stout.
I don't think so. But like even like some of the 3Fs, the lambics and
that was barrel aged. I mean it's oak aged, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but are they like?
Yeah.
I mean, they are now.
Oak aged.
But that's what I'm saying. They are now. Back then, everything was open fermented.
I think lambic was always a blend, or goose was always a blend of 1, 2, and 3 year old stuff. So it had to be stored somewhere.
But was it stored in barrels or was it stored in like vessels? Because like they open fermented and then this bottle conditioned.
Shit's a good question.
Like I don't know.
I always envision. I've never been over there. I've always envisioned like them having like big fooders or huge barrels that they keep it in, but maybe not. I mean, maybe it'll.
Hey, you know what? We should go over there.
We should go over there.
Do you want to?
You talked to my wife into it. We'll go.
Yeah. I'm gonna chisel her down. I'm gonna whittle her down.
You thought you was gonna talk her into it. Like,
I really did. She was like. What did I say? I was like, hey, so you really don't want Jason going to join me? She's like, nope. I'm like, why? Do you want to go? She's like, nope. I was like, oh my God. She's like, I just don't want him to go to Europe without me. And I'm like, I get it. I'm just going to keep asking. Angie, if you're watching this.
She's not watching. So back a little bit to this. Do you remember, the first year that they actually packaged Bourbon County Stout?
I want to guess like 2003, 2007?
2005, so you're close around there. 2010 was the first like variants that I really remember. That was coffee, vanilla, and then rare too. That was 2010.
Yeah, that's when that first came out. Yeah.
And then after rare, if you remember, they did King Henry the next year.
Oh, I remember.
So they took those same barrels they had this in, rare, and then aged the barley wine in it for an additional year.
And that was the first barley wine Bourbon County that they did, right?
I believe you're right.
Yeah, because they've done a few since then.
I know 2014 they had the small balls. That was a big year for them. But I think
and that wasn't really even part of the Bourbon County series. Now that I think about it,
it's more rare. It's the rare aspect, right?
Yeah. That was amazing though. God, that was good.
So they actually, the problems they've had at Goose Island with this stuff is in 2015. They changed the bottle. So it went to this bottle. I guess it's like a 15.9 or something like that.
Yeah, and they used to have the small, those 12 ounce format, yeah.
And they had 22 ounces for the big ones, like your coffee, your vanilla, all those things.
The variants, yeah.
But in 2015, they had infection issues. So coffee, barley wine, some of the regular, and prop were infected.
Yeah, that was a big deal. I remember that.
Huge deal. They offered refunds, sent you T-shirts. I got a few bottles refunded like that.
Yeah.
But the killer there was the rumor was they had King Henry Part 2 coming in 2016.
Really?
Except the barley wine was all infected.
So they had to just scrap it all.
I've been anxiously awaiting, like, are they going to do it again?
Yeah.
Maybe with 2024, the new rare coming out, maybe they'll actually do the barley wine King Henry. So we'll
I'll
see.
say I haven't even looked at the lineup because I want you to tell me and I want to discuss it. But I was kind of hoping they come out with a barley wine this year.
Yeah, so they do.
Okay, you want to get into that?
Yeah, we'll get into the barley wine this year. Let's go ahead and jump to that one.
Okay.
So Proprietor's Blend,
right.
Chicago only, nice little blue box. It's a barley wine this year. Sounds great, right?
Prop is the barley wine.
Prop is the barley wine.
Historically, prop has been
stout.
Like
always
stout, usually with like coconut or something like that. Yeah.
So it has a few ingredients in it. It's got tamarind, lime, guajillo peppers,
right.
and piloncillo sugar.
See, like you got me real excited.
What in the hell are they doing there?
I had a raging semi there for a second, and then now I'm just like I'm flaccid as a limp noodle.
I don't get that. Like
that sounds disgusting.
Prop is they're like saying thank you so much Chicago for supporting us.
Yeah,
I'd be pissed if I was in Chicago, and probably 4 out of the last 5 years have been shit, and maybe not shit like tasting, but it's weird.
It's
ingredients.
Been off par.
Weird. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like a collab with Against the Grain. Right?
It does. Yeah. 100%. 100%.
Oh, that's really disappointing. I still want to try it.
I do too.
If we get it.
Well, we had a prop. Remember that a few years back, or it's like a cocktail. Drew and you were down there. We tried to make the cocktail. That's pretty good.
That was good.
That's pretty good.
I enjoyed it. Yeah.
So they're doing a Bardstown cask finish. This is aged in Bardstown rye barrels, then transferred to hybrid oak and cherry wood barrels for finishing. That sounds pretty good. That's a single bottle.
Yeah.
They have a macaroon stout.
Okay.
Which is cocoa nibs, candied ginger, toasted coconut. Okay. I'm in on that one.
Yeah.
And then they have vanilla rye. So I'm excited for that one.
Always been
2014 is the last time they've done it, like the rye version. They've done vanilla, but not vanilla rye again.
Right.
So
that's awesome.
That's the lineup plus the Bourbon County Stout and then Rare we talked about.
Okay.
So that's it.
That's cool. Yeah.
We will probably get like one of those. So maybe in 2 years we'll see some more down here.
Yeah. Yeah. Once everything is like already like settled down and nobody wants it anymore.
So I mean, this beer's 9 years old. On the nose, what are you getting there?
I'm getting lots of oak. Golly, I just tasted it too, and that is smooth as shit. So one thing that's important to note about this, if you don't know already, originally Bourbon County stouts have aged very well. They're one of the few stouts. Well, they're like the original stout that ages very well. And even with like a lot of adjuncts in it, a lot of times a lot of them will get better with age. Once they switched over to the new bottle format was 2015.
2015. Yep.
They pasteurize all the beer, which means there's really no benefit to aging it anymore.
So I don't know if they pasteurized it in 2015. Maybe they did. I know they did starting the next year for sure.
Right.
Because they were trying to get rid of the infection.
You think that maybe this year?
I think, but I might be wrong.
I was under the impression the new bottles basically signaled the beginning of pasteurization because it was right after the infection issues, and they're like, we're not even going to take a chance.
But you think, though,
anymore.
if they had an infection in 2015, well, I guess, never mind. I bet you're right.
Yeah.
But now on the new ones, since they've been doing them in 2015, they have a little neck tag that will show you how long it should age for. I'll kind of get that in the camera a little bit there. So this one says it ages up in the bottle up to 5 years.
Yeah,
we're 9 years, so it's close.
Yeah. So I wonder what that means definitively, because if they're saying it's pasteurized, but they're saying you can age it, I wonder what kind of development they're thinking it's going to get.
I mean, with me, whether it's pasteurized or not, I guess I think some slight oxidation getting in there. Like no seal is going to be perfect on that.
Yeah.
So older bottles you go longer on, they're going to get a little bit oxidized. Which honestly, in the stout, I don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, there could be some benefit to that.
And there was some carb when we poured this one.
Yeah. Did you try it yet?
I've tried it, yeah.
This is really good.
A lot of leather, a lot of tobacco, dark fruit, real dark fruits.
Yeah.
Super rich, almost like a concentrated, beer.
Yeah. This is one of the best ones I've had in a long time. And I guess it should be.
Yeah.
Because it's the rarest. But this is nice because I got a little burned out on Bourbon County. Once they went to the new bottle format, I was turned off on a few aspects of it. Back then, we were doing a lot of shares, and I was like, this is going to be shittier to share because you got less beer.
Yep.
And then also you couldn't get the small bottles, which we never really did anyway.
They came back last year. They brought them back for one series.
Did they really? Okay, I didn't even know that.
4-packs, so they're just regular. No.
And I like the small bottles because sometimes you don't want to share, and sometimes you just want to have, honestly, an 8-ounce bottle would be amazing.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Correct.
So I was turned off by the new bottle format. I get it from a logistics standpoint because it's uniform, so it's going to be cheaper, and they're making their own bottles. But then, like a lot of the beer, it was great, but I'd had it so many times. We've been drinking this beer for over a decade.
Long time, man. I mean, looking at it too, like I thought of some just things when I was doing some research on this one. And I didn't answer this yet. I wanted to go off the top of my head, but what are some favorite beers from Bourbon County that you've had? Like, what are the standouts you've had from Goose Island?
Like non-Bourbon County?
No, it can be Bourbon County. Just go with the lineup.
Well, I mean, it's mostly going to be Bourbon County, and then you got
but there's variants, right? I mean, which one are your favorite ones you've had?
King Henry was way up there. That's going to be like maybe my number one.
So you had that fresh though, and I never had it fresh.
You didn't?
I had it probably that was a well that I kind of like didn't chase, but I always wanted to try.
Oh, okay,
dude. I was probably 8 years after it had been opened, like after it started initially released, that I got to try it. So it was still good, but I didn't have it fresh.
I see. Okay. Yeah, I actually remember I got like 3 bottles of that. I went into the pub, the chain restaurant.
Yeah.
And they had they just had a bunch in, and we ordered a bottle. Me and Drew, my buddy Drew, we had a bottle, and I didn't even know what it was. And I drank it, and I was like, oh my God, this is phenomenal. Like, do you have more of this? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, can I buy it to go? They're like, yeah. I was like, I'll take them all. And they had like 3 bottles.
Yeah.
And I ended up sharing some over at Kevin's shared. Everybody was like, oh my God, where'd you get that? I was like, I got it at a chain restaurant over by the mall. That was pretty awesome.
I think probably my favorite that I've had from was one of the props. I can't remember which one, 13 or 14. One of them had toasted coconut, and one of them had coconut water, I think it was.
I remember that, yeah.
Both fantastic. Yeah. And then I like Vanilla Rye
was fantastic.
Back in 2014, I think it was.
The original Backyard was actually one of my favorites. And I know subsequently...
It's a fruited stout, like you wouldn't think it would be, right?
It's very polarizing, yeah. A lot of people don't like fruits in their stout, but I like them fruity.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that.
Yeah. But the first one that came out... I thought it was phenomenal. I thought it was kind of groundbreaking because not a lot of people were doing that.
We did Vanilla Rye, or not Vanilla Rye. What was the Cherry Rye? Cherry?
They did Cherry. Cherry was pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Backyard, Vanilla, and then King Henry. I've liked pretty much most of the props up until they started getting real wonky with the ingredients.
Probably about the last 5-6 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Coffee's was always
Coffee's a classic.
That was a great one.
It's funny. I'm thinking about Goose Island beers that I've enjoyed, and they're all in that kind of that range, that category. I can't think of any one-offs that I was just like, oh, hey, I had this on tap over in Chicago, and it was great. I can't think of any.
I think, though, really 2010 to 2014 was their heyday, in my opinion. I mean, that was where the prime was. I have had some one-offs. Remember the double barrel one we had up there? We had a bottle on our show. It's been a while back.
Was that at Fobab or was it?
We had it at not Fobab. We had it at actually we did during that trip. So Fobab, the year me and you went, was the year they released the new double barrel.
I remember standing in line for that. Yeah,
but they had the one that you could only get at the brew pub. You can only have it on site. They had very few bottles that went to go. We actually got one on our show.
I don't even remember that.
Oh, you tried on the show.
Okay, I'm sure.
On this show, actually. It's our show, Matt.
This show?
This
one?
This show.
I don't know. I'm new here, so I'm just learning everything as I go along.
It's the cameras. It's the new cameras.
Everything is a learning experience for me. Yeah. No, all that stuff's good. It's just beyond that, it's I've had, 312?
Yeah. Yeah, 312.
Wheat beer.
I mean, I think the sisters were pretty good,
Some
right?
of the hops were pretty good. Yeah. Oh, that's true. The sisters.
Yeah.
So they had the line of sour ales, Matilda, and
Madame Rose.
I actually did enjoy those.
Yeah, I think I might have a Juliet and a Madame Rose at home. I think I still got one. I don't think they make those anymore.
I went through all of those. Yeah, those were good. But yeah, the Bourbon County stuff has been my favorite from them, and their barley ones have been phenomenal. So I'd still like to try this one that's coming out. But this one here, this 2015, this is, if you're sitting on it, this is drinking great. So
I mean, we're 9 years in, it's going strong.
I know. Open this side by side with the new one if you get it, or the original if you have it.
Yeah.
That original, I can't imagine it's going to be.
I'd say the original's gone, but I think this one's still holding on pretty good.
This is awesome. So,
any other interesting facts you got about Bourbon County or Goose Island?
I was really curious. We were talking a little bit beforehand. I have always wondered, this seems trite, but Bourbon County Brand Stout. In my mind, I'm like, okay, we live in Kentucky. We have a Bourbon County, and it's reputed as the birthplace of actual bourbon. I've always wondered, when they started this, were they oh, we're naming this after the actual Bourbon County in Kentucky? Or were they just trying to be cheeky and be like, hey, they could have called it Whiskey County, They could have called it Beer County or Stout County. And they're just like, let's call it Bourbon County because we're just trying to be cheeky. I didn't know, I never knew if there was an homage there to actual Bourbon County or not.
I'll be honest with you, I bet they had no idea a county like that existed here because it's Paris, right? That's Bourbon
Paris,
County.
Kentucky, yeah. I didn't think they did either. So I did a little bit of digging. There's not a ton of information on it, but
you can make up the rest.
I'm going to wing all of this. So facts are optional on our show.
It 100% are optional.
First of all, the word bourbon is actually French. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not.
It harkens from the House of Bourbon, which is actually a family name. It was like some family.
Were they all drunks?
They probably are now. That
you should answer that. Come just make it up. Come on.
But it was actually a French dynasty. And bourbon whiskey is reputed to have started in Bourbon County, which was actually named after that French dynasty.
In France.
Yeah. So during the American Revolutionary War? American Revolution, Bourbon County, the area, was actually part of Virginia. And the French came and helped during that war. So as an homage, they basically named that area of land Bourbon County after that French dynasty. Subsequently, it ended up becoming part of Kentucky. The name for that for this specific area stuck, but back then they would stamp their barrels with the whiskey that came out of that region, that Bourbon County region. They called it Old Bourbon, Old Bourbon County. They stamped the barrels with Old Bourbon, and it was just basically supposed to be is indicative of where it came from. But it ended up becoming so popular that people attached the word bourbon with that specific type of whiskey, and they called it bourbon whiskey.
Very interesting.
Yeah. And I didn't know it was French, but then seeing the way the etymology goes and the way it all kind of goes down the track, it makes sense. There was another, I don't know who it was, but some guy, as a bourbon expert, was saying that the whiskey that did come out of Bourbon County was shipped down the Ohio River down to New Orleans. And in New Orleans, because it had a more unique profile of malt and grain and stuff like that, a lot of people were requesting the whiskey that was shipped in to Bourbon Street. So when they were looking for hey, do you got that Bourbon Street whiskey? They'd be like, oh, do you got that bourbon whiskey?
They're shorting down.
They're shorting down. They're saying it's actually from Bourbon Street. That's where it comes from, is bourbon whiskey. Okay. But it still came from Bourbon County. So I'm still going to lean towards the Bourbon County theory.
Very interesting.
You know what I mean?
You think there'd be, one thing you'll find if you dig into true bourbon history, like whiskey, now we're talking, there's a whole lot of shit made up. You know what I mean? There's some books I've got at home, and I've actually read. I know you didn't think I could read, but I can. But they're it's all tall tales, essentially. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, well, this was over here, and they probably did this.
It's like my grandpappy's grandpappy told him.
This guy probably did this. I'm like, probably. That's not words I think I'd be reading in this book, but whatever.
Yeah.
I got one question for you. You think if there's another war fought, and if somebody wins a territory, they would call it arsenic culture?
Arsenic. That might be a
little.
Could
we ask for that?
We
get
could
a flag.
ask for that. It might be
we
a little
can make
volatile.
a flag for
Yeah,
them.
we use our logo. I think some people would be a little turned off by the fact that we're talking about death and poison, but I think some people would get behind that.
Yeah, two people would support it.
Yeah,
probably.
Exactly. Do you know how many bourbon counties there are in the United States?
Oh shit, good. 5.
No, there are 2.
2.
There used to be 3.
Okay.
There was one in Georgia early on in 1788. 1785 to 88, and then it got dissolved through some political pressure. There was some bullshit behind it, but there's ours in Kentucky, which is actually the original.
Okay.
And then there is one still in Kansas. But the one in Kansas was established in 1855. It's actually named after Bourbon County in Kentucky.
Really?
Yeah, they actually took that. I don't know exactly why. I just guess they just want to hop on the bourbon bandwagon from 1855. Yeah.
There's not much going on in Kansas.
Yeah, so as far as bourbon counties go, we do have the original one. So I think that kind of maybe lends a little bit of credence to the historical.
I mean, a lot of people think that if it doesn't come from Kentucky, it's not bourbon. Now, that's not true. But
no, it's not true.
A lot of people think that. They really do. So I get it. We're the OG.
Yeah, we are. It's definitive because we just talked about all the made up facts.
Yeah, I mean, this sounded good to me.
Yeah. So are we gonna get the new release of Rare this year?
I don't know. I say what we're gonna get here in town is we're gonna get Vanilla Rye. We're gonna get the Macaroon, and I'd say we might get the Bardstown Cask Finish. Of course, the regular.
Right.
I don't know if we're gonna get Rare. If we don't, though, I don't anticipate it being too hard to find.
Yeah.
And then Prop is going to be Chicago only.
Yeah, of course.
But I don't think that'll be hard to find either.
I just realized I talked about all that shit trying to get into whether Bourbon County was named after Bourbon County. And I didn't even say it, but it was.
It was. It's good. I just assumed that when you were talking.
It is. But that was actually the sad part of it. It's like I found all this information and I was like, did they name it after Bourbon County in Kentucky? They actually did, but there wasn't oh, we love Bourbon County. It's like, hey, this would be cool. Let's just name it this. That was kind of the end of it.
I'm glad you actually said that there, because when I've done research on bourbon, like brands and stuff, that's where I get to. Like, you get so far down, it's like, oh, okay, well, this guy did this, and then by the time you forget your original 3 questions, you're on something else. Like, you have no idea. It's all tall tales. So
all right.
It's very interesting.
We'll find a new release of the Bourbon County Rare, and we will open it here, and we will drink it, and we will probably like it, but if we don't, we'll let you know.
And we'll say buy 2015 Rare if you can get it for cost or under.
It is amazing. So for more Arsenic Culture, you can check us out on all the socials. We are at Arsenic Culture, and we'll see you on the next one.